Okay. Let's see if we can get started, guys. Okay, welcome back. Yeah, so there's a couple of wee things that I need to have a look at. Last week's community Q&A, Ask Me Anything. I think there was definitely an issue with my Bouzouki. So I'm just going to go back into the last week's video and actually show you guys this while I'm doing it. And just to see what is going on with this thing. Let me see. And maybe update a couple of wee things and, you know, make sure that it's actually going to be a decent enough video. So I might combine last week's video with this week's video and create a series of proper videos out of it. So I just want to see where it all broke down. I think it was probably the last half of it where I was trying to play along with the Bouzouki. I did make a little short from this as well, so you'll be able to see here it play it up to full speed anyway. But I just want to make sure that there's nothing else that I missed before I move on to this week's topic, which is going to be about looking at tab. And I may even actually record today as well a slip jig that I was doing yesterday and have that ready for you as well. So a couple of things I want to do. Tidy up last week's one just to see if there is anything that I can tidy up. And look at Bouzouki tab using the Maids of Mount Cisco as an example, and then maybe moving on to record for Whalley's range, which was a slip jig that was done yesterday. So it's quite a bit to do. Let's see what we can do. If I can just get rid of that for a second. Okay. Let me have a wee look-see here just to see that I'm using the right mic, and also get the piano ready if I need that. Yeah, let's bring this up. I'm just going to test each and everything individually now. Rather than leaving it all together. So I'm going to test my microphone. It looks like it's working. My piano. Okay, I think the piano's working. Yep. Should be coming through. I'll go back and check the feed to make sure as well. Yeah, so sure that there's... Look, also get the piano individually now. Test my microphone. It looks like it's working. Yeah, my piano. Good. Okay, so I know that my mics are working and my computer's audio is working, which is good. And just going to also test the Bouzouki app. I'll find where I've put that. There it is. Okay. I might just leave that as is if we're going to be recording. That's the capo that I'm going to be using. Okay. As usual, guys, if anyone's dropping into the stream while I'm making it as well, there's usually not. You know, this is usually for people, like for my students to watch at a time that suits them, because I broadcast at silly, stupid times. It's like, for me, it's just 5:10 London time. But a lot of my students, you know, some of them could be in bed, depending where they are, and a lot of them are in America, and so they're probably working. But if you have any questions that you want answered, you know, feel free to type away, because usually there's a lot of, you know, extra time that I could give over to stuff. It's just that once I get through what people have asked me throughout the week, if there's nobody in the chat and asking anything in the chat, then that's kind of it. I just sort of say, okay, that's it. But if there is anything that you want specifically answered, go for it. As I say, I'm going to put into the chat actually today's topic, reading Bouzouki tab. That's what somebody wanted to know. And that actually came from another person on, I think it was somebody in the notification and my comments was asking for, yeah, the tab for the Maids of Mount Cisco. This thing here. So actually just get the audio working, make sure that actually you guys can hear it. Okay, so the chords for this one are a bit out of the ordinary. Oh. So I'm just going to pause it there for a second, just to let you know that this is up in on the YouTube channel as part of the shorts. It's also on my Facebook group, and it's on my website. Maybe not. I'll have to check the website group to see if they have it, and it's on the Instagram as well. So it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram. There's loads of places you can access this video. And what I tend to do with these wee videos now, and I'll probably do this all the time for every single tune that I go through, is I'll make a short like this where it's only a couple of minutes long, like a quick little lesson. And what I'm going to be doing is breaking down the accompaniment to it. So it's going to be quick. Okay, so it's not, you know, like a lesson. It's not like the guys in my courses will know that a lot of the times when I'm doing a lesson, it takes time. It could be like 30 minutes of just going through the one thing, or an hour going through the one thing. This is a short. I have 2 to 3 minutes to get the point across. So I literally go through it once, and, you know, not terribly slow. Just explaining the chords I'm using and the counterpoint I'm using. Then I move on to the next thing. So yeah, that's last week's disaster of Ask Me Anything. This little reel or short is enough to sort of tidy most of that up. It's only a couple of minutes. So that's the first thing, is that you can access a lot of the information that we were talking about last week just from this little short. But as I said, somebody was asking, well, where's the tab for this? You know, they'd find it useful to, you know, learn it by tab. I would recommend that you try to learn it always by ear, first of all. It is, like, you know, a folk tune, and it is part of the Irish traditional repertoire where most people will learn something by ear. It's not the only way to learn, but it is by far the most musical way to learn, definitely. The tab is quite more of a scientific way to learn, and some people's, you know, brains work that way. Some people prefer that, to actually see each individual note or pitch and rhythm and whatever. So I'm going to show you guys that, but just bear in mind that try to learn a tune by ear, either, and slow it down, of course. Don't try and do what I do most weeks, is, you know, learn something up to full speed. Do it, you know, very slowly and build it up over time. That's the best way to learn any sort of folk music, trad music. So we're going to be looking at tab today, which is a wee bit sort of scientific and probably more sort of into the territory of classical almost, that you're looking at, you know, the notation and spending a bit of time on that. That's the first thing, reading Bouzouki tab. And also, I'm just going to type in the chat any questions you have. Okay, so as I say, that could be, you know, anything really. That doesn't have to be, you know, trad. It doesn't have to be classical. It doesn't have to be theory. It can be whatever you want. Okay. And of course, we'll have a bit of time to do the Michael McGoldrick thing from yesterday. I'm going to try and record that for everyone to get a new reel up, a new short for everybody. Okay. So let's see. I shall go to my website first, or my channel actually. I just go to click on YouTube, it should bring me right there. Yep. So that's us live at the moment. Yeah, so you can, when you're on my YouTube channel, guys, if I just make this larger so you can see everything. Well, that's about as large as it's going to get. Let me see if I zoom in a wee bit. Okay, so yeah, this is the stuff that usually comes out. The most recent stuff will be sort of at the top here under videos. For you, it's going to be different for every single one of you guys. So if there's stuff that you haven't watched, or, you know, stuff that you prefer to watch, or the algorithm from YouTube will recommend videos that you thinks you'll like from my channel. It's just a bit of higgledy-piggledy, I think, anyway, but, you know, worth checking out. But the video section is everything that's recent, or the most recent stuff. The live streams, those are all the ones I've done so far for Irish Trad. These are the ones that I've done for the Ask Me Anythings, so they go back, you know, a good few months now. And then the shorts are underneath that, so that's the most recent one, the Maids of Mount Cisco. And there's other reels and jigs and reels and jigs and reels. I need to do a few more jigs. I've only got 2 jigs there and 4 reels. I'm doing a slip jig today anyway, so that should make up for it. And then there's their lessons as well. I've sort of taken them, made them all into courses. So yeah, the Irish traditional music courses, this part down here, is taking the lives and breaking these 2 to 3 hour lives and breaking them up into, like, 6 or 7 videos. Sometimes they're like 10 minutes long each. So it takes out all the guff like now, and gets straight to the point. So if you want to sort of learn these individual accompaniments and these reels and do it at a much slower pace, these are the ones I'd recommend you do. The Irish traditional music ones down here, because there's like sometimes there are 15 lessons, sometimes there's 8 lessons, 9 lessons. It's usually 6 to like 10 lessons, and it's more focused rather than having to do it all from one big long video. And as I say, there's maybe 20, 30 minutes, maybe more, maybe up to an hour sometimes of stuff which, you could get rid of. It's just me trying to learn. Remember that the practice with me, guys, is not me teaching. Okay, it actually isn't. It's me learning. Okay, I'm learning Sam Cormier's reel, or the Ships Are Sailing, or the Castle Jig, or this would probably be the Maids of Mount Cisco. I need to update that. Or no, this would be the Whalley slip jig. What was the name of it again? Michael McGoldrick tune. Yeah, Farewell to Whalley Range. That's what this one's going to be when I change the thumbnail. So all you're getting is me learning a tune every week, and it could be a bit painful having to sit through, like, how long was that one last night? 2 hours and 43 minutes. That could be a bit annoying, sometimes having to sit through all that while I'm, making the same mistake over and over again on the Bouzouki. So what I do is take this and make it into, a course that takes out all the, the guff, and just get straight to the point. There's also music theory stuff there again. Most of that is taken, all of that is taken from the community Q&As. Okay, so there will be stuff down here that's constantly added as well. And then this stuff down here, not sure you guys would be interested in most of this music performance. That's just me messing around with stuff that, I play on the piano, and also revision stuff that I make for my students, GCSE and A-level students. I need to make more of those, actually. That's been a while. And then that's the really old videos. So that's a little tour of my page, my channel. So what I recommend you doing, if you just want to get straight into the absolute essential stuff, that will be the shorts. Okay, so, and you don't have to scroll all the way down. You can just do this from the top here. If you just click on shorts, it'll take you to the page where all the shorts are. Okay, so that's like at the maximum, it's 3 minutes. So you may want to pause it and rewind it. If you want to do a little bit slow, then I would say do the courses. Like the Irish traditional music courses are all down here. So that takes it, one topic at a time. 6 topics, obviously, for this one on Sam Cormier's reel. And if you want to watch me do it, warts and all, and go and literally learn along with me, and, see all the mistakes I'm making as I do it, then that's the lives. Okay, that's all the stuff up here. Yeah, practice with me lives. So there's like 3 ways of learning the tune: as a short, as a course, or watching the lives. Okay, so it's up to you, whichever way you prefer. And if you want like a sort of a systematic way of actually learning the Bouzouki, I recommend going over to my website and checking out the courses that I have there, where that is me teaching stuff that I've known for years. Okay, because as I say, you're only really getting a peek behind the curtain of how I'm learning tunes, and all of these will eventually make their way into the courses that I do online on my website. So all of these will appear there eventually when I become a wee bit more comfortable with them and figure out other ways of learning them and doing other stuff with them as well. So they mightn't appear for a good few months, but they will eventually get there. Okay, so that's just me shilling up for my own web channel there, and my own YouTube channel. Let's get stuck into today's topic. I just minimize that for a sec. The best one to maybe use, this is everything from the Maids of Mount Cisco. Let me have a wee nosy here. Yeah, that's the tutorial with the short What's this one? I'm just gonna check to see what I've done here. Okay, so this is not like the short that's up on the YouTube. I don't know if I'll upload this again because it's like me going through the tune twice and putting in variations. Like for example, that little bit that I did there. Here. Okay, so that's just, I'm just making sure that it's just the same thing, but just with some variations. The one that you guys see is the one with the little tutorial at the end. So that's up there on the YouTube channel, on Facebook, and on Instagram. I'll have to check my website to make sure it's up in the community there as well. Okay, so the tab for this then, how many different things do I have? Okay, so I have this, which is the no standard notation of all the ornaments. I have this, which is just the plain tune, which is what you would see if you went and downloaded it off the session.org. So obviously that's not what it should sound like. It's probably more like this, you know, of all the ornaments and stuff added. And then this is the tab. Okay, so this is the one that I want to just go through with a couple of students who are interested in, you know, seeing the tab to this, and for also those of you who've never used tab before, just to get an idea of, well, what's going on, you know, what's the advantage and disadvantage of using tab. You'll hear a lot about the disadvantages. Yes, it's not the greatest. It doesn't let you see patterns that easily. If you get used to reading notation, you should be able to see after a while there's a lot of similar patterns, whereas when you're looking at this, it's just so many numbers that your brain doesn't really compute it the same way as seeing the physical movement of notes. So reading standard notation is far more useful, I think, learning that rather than learning tab. And also learning tab for Bouzouki, I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it, to be honest, because it's not the same as guitar. It's not the same tuning. So where all these numbers refer to on the frets is going to be very different for guitar, and also there's only 4 of them. In guitar there'll be 6. So, you know, it's how useful is this going to be? I don't know. But I want to go through it anyway, just in case there's any students who do want to learn to read Bouzouki tab. Okie doke. If we bring up, is there any slow version I did of this? I did do it with the bar on, I think. Okay, so a wee bit of the whistle and the bore on there. No harm in listening to the piece a couple of times before we get stuck into the Bouzouki. Let's see. Oh, lovely. How out of tune is this already? Now, for this one, as it says there, guys, capo on 7. So I'm just going to... I will swap over to Bouzouki cam in a wee second as soon as I get the tuning of this correct. Yeah, it's definitely flat. Yeah. It's quite warm, so it's a bit of a warm day here. It's not going to stay this way for very long. It might even go higher. Okay, so when you see tab written this way, and it's going to zoom in so you can see it, remember to keep an eye at the beginning of the sheet music. It'll probably say if there's a capo involved. If there is a capo involved, then all of these numbers are referring to the frets above the capo position. Okay, so when you see 3002, this 3 is for the top string. So if I swap over to Bouzouki cam to show you this and make sure actually that you can actually see it. So get my microphone out of the way and also make sure that my microphone on camera can be seen a wee bit better. Yeah, that's what happens when you sit in a swivel chair. You can never get the right angle every time you sit down. There we go. So we're looking for 2003. So the 2 is, that's on the 2nd fret on the 4th course, the lowest note here, or the lowest string. Then you have 00, 00, and then 3 is going to be 3 frets up from the capo. So 1, 2, 3 here. So 2 and 3, and then 00 is just open string. If we swap back over to the desktop so you can actually see what this looks like when it's written out, yeah, those are the fingers I was holding down. I wonder, can I do that actually? Is it at all possible? Let me see if I can zoom in. I'm going to see if I can zoom in, yeah. How far can I zoom in on this camera? I think that's as far as I can go. Okay. So I'm not sure how useful this is going to be, seeing hi down here, where you can see maybe that this is the 3rd fret above the capo. So 1, 2, 3, holding this guy down. I'm using my 3rd finger for that, and then for my 1st finger, it's the 2nd fret. Okay, so that's what we have here on this diagram. So this is the chord chart. And then down here you have the tab showing you how it's played. You'll see as well that the melody is above. That's the first bar. And here you've got E, A. There's 4 quavers there. E and A and A and A. So 1 E quaver, or 8th note if you want to think of it in the American terms. And 3 A quavers, or 3 8th notes that are A here. And notice there's a gap in the tab between where you're strumming this chord. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're thinking of quavers, count quavers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be 8 of these quavers in a bar, because it's 4 crotchets, or 4 quarter notes in a bar. So obviously there's going to be 8 8th notes in a bar. The American names make more sense when you're talking about time signatures. You know, crotchets doesn't really do justice, but when you're saying 4 quarter notes in a bar, that's pretty obvious what 4/4 means. So obviously there's 8th notes in a bar, or 8 quavers in a bar. So you're holding this chord down, or strumming this chord for the equivalent time of 3 quavers. And this is the drawback, as you can immediately see, that when you're using tab, you need some sort of rhythmic thing to go with it. I've seen tab which has the rhythm written above, you know, just in midair above it. So it could be something that looks like, would it let me draw? Something that looks like this. Oops. You know, where you've got the rhythm written like this. But I don't find that very helpful. You know, what's the point of writing the rhythm and then writing the pitch separately? This is the downside of tab. Why not just learn how to do both of them at the same time? Which is what this is. You've got your pitch and your rhythm simultaneously written here. Whereas this system is trying to justify its existence, I think, by, you know, writing the rhythm separately above. If you have to do that, then it kind of defeats the purpose of, you know, what's the function of tab. So I tend not to use this, but I'm going to include it in some of my reels and jigs as to show students who are interested in learning to use this. But I highly recommend that you first learn how to read music traditionally, properly, you know, from the either ABC or from this. Better even if you can read the actual written down notation. It's much more useful skill to be actually able to read real music, because every single style of music, blues, classical, jazz, folk, all of it will be using the traditional notation. And this is just unique for the bouzouki, even the Irish bouzouki, because this is basically your G, D, A, and D. Which, when we add capo on 7, if we bring up the the little tab thing, and we add the capo here, changes it to D here, A here, E here, and A here. So D A E A, or D A E A rather than G D A D. So this is the traditional tuning that you tune your strings to, and then this is what happens when you add the capo on 7. So again, this isn't even going to be applicable for outside trad music, because a Greek bouzouki only has 3 courses, and mandolin playing and violins don't have a D at the top here. They tune this to E. So it can be quite restrictive, I think, just learning bouzouki tab. But as I keep saying, if you're up for it, then yeah, if you have the time, go for it. Okay. So basically everything that we just talked about there, you just apply that the whole way through. So you'll see there's ties over here where you're strumming this chord for the equivalent of 2 quavers here plus a quaver here. So obviously then it's going to be equal to a dotted crotchet or a dotted quarter note. So the rhythm for those first 2 bars, it's just going to be the same notes that you're holding down, as you can see, but it's just going to be the rhythm that we're going to be looking at. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bum. So bum. tuning's going already. So bum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum. So it's dum da 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 dum da 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 da. So down da 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 dum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum. And now we've run into the other problem of using tab is, well, what do you know for down strokes and upstrokes, or downbeats and upbeats? Obviously, if you're in the first beat of the bar or the first note of the bar, the first main beat should be a down. Okay, so that's traditionally written like that, you know, for down bows, you know, for violin playing. So you consider this like a down strum. And it's just alternating back and forth. So down, and this would be an up, and then this would be down, and this would be an up, and this would be a down. And then this is held over. So this would be, let's see what happens. Hopefully we should be an up in order to make the rhythm repeatable. You want this to end on an upstroke, which means the previous one should be a down, which means the previous one should be an up, which means the previous one should be a down, which means the previous one should be an up, which means the previous one should be a down. Okay. So you hopefully won't have to write this in, you know, that'll just feel natural. That's the thing. It should feel like... Okay, so that rhythm, as you can see, is going to be used over the next two bars, and it's used over the next two bars, and it's quite similar to the last two bars. You can see these ties over the bar line for each one. All you're doing is changing the chords every time. Okay, so for the first two bars, it's this A minor over E. This is, yeah, the E at the bottom is this 2. Remember that you've added the capo so that the bottom open is D. Go up 2 frets from D and you're obviously going to hit E. If you go up 1 fret, you're hitting D sharp or E flat. And then you go up 2, you're going to hit an E here. So this is what the chords here will mean, is that the overall chord is A minor, but E is the lowest note. This 2 is your E. Okay, so... Don't worry too much about the name for some of these. Are a bit strange, like E minor add an 11. That's, you're getting into sort of jazz territory here. It's just a sort of an E minor chord with G at the bottom. Don't worry so much about the add 11. It's when you have open strings like this, the resonance that's created the overtones, or the, not the overtones, the added notes, the extensions to the chord are usually your open strings. And we don't really think of it that way when we're doing trad. If you're doing jazz, you'd be thinking about 11ths, 9ths, 13ths all the time. That's what gives jazz its very rich harmony. But for trad music, it's just a result of leaving strings open, and that's all. It's not deliberate or anything. It's just, you know, drones. That's all. So that bottom one is G, and this top one is E, E, G. And that's da. It's going to be clashing with the chord, but we're not too worried about it. These open strings clashing with the chord, consider them just drones. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to add the second down. So before we were doing the third, now we just moved down to the second on that first course. As you can see from my picture down here, you can see that I'm adding this finger here. And then we've got an open string. So this is open and this is open. The next two strings, your second and third course, are both open. And then the bass note, the fourth course, has to have a note on the 5th fret. So that's a bit of a stretch. I'm just going to jump over to Bouzouki cam to show you that. And maybe get the... Okay, I get the zoom right. Okay, yeah. Let's come out a wee bit. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so that's what we're aiming for here, is that on the second course, or sorry, on the second fret. So it should look something like there for that B. And then you're adding, that's a bit of a stretch. It is tricky. Try not to dampen. I know some people, when they're playing it, are going to have a flat finger here. The third finger is going to be quite flat and almost barring across the whole instrument. You don't want this on that third course. If you look at the bottom right corner, you'll see where my thumb is. Trying to strum that. You have to kind of arch that note a wee bit in order to let that come out. So it is kind of an unusual sounding, you know, jazzy chord, but yeah, that's what you're aiming for there. The B and the G here. Yeah, so E minor at 11. Okay, so it's like E, G, and B, and then the 11th is that A. That's the A. That's the 11th above E, which kind of doesn't really, you know, gel well with the chord. But what are you going to do when you're strumming? Are you going to try and avoid the second fret? You can dampen it then if you don't want to play the 11th. I think it sounds richer though if you have it. So it's okay, so that's the dump, 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 ticka, dump, dump. It's almost like Bo Diddley, isn't it? Like that ticka, 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 dump, dump, ticka, 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 dump, dump. So it's very similar to that sort of Bo Diddley way of playing guitar, you know, all syncopated. Let's go back to the desktop just to see. Again, the same rhythm. So down, up, down, as we had before. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to do it one more time, and just to show you where everything goes. And this down obviously then is carried over the bar for this chord. This is the E minor chord. So this is down, this one's going to be up, this one's going to be down, this one's going to be up, this one's going to be down, this one's going to be up, this one's going to be down, and then the last one has to be up in order for the main beat of the next bar to be on a strong downstroke. Okay, so if I zoom out a little, can I go any further than that? That's about as much as I can squish on the screen. I'm going to get rid of me just so I don't block it. Yeah. And hopefully you guys can see that a wee bit better than I can. Okay, so that's about as much as I can get on the screen without losing any information. That's the first part of the tune. So I'm going to go through that nice and slowly. These are the chords that I'm playing up here, and you can play along, practice along with it. And after you have a good idea what the rhythm is and where your fingers are going to go. So take it nice and slow. So from the start, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first chord. And I dampen at the end. Dum da 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 dum. That's what I've written here. You could think of that as a minim. Dum da 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 da. Lasting the full length of the bar. But I tend to dampen that. So if you want to hit the A minor. Or you can keep on doing the So up to full speed, it'd be more like. Okay, and that's the first part. The second part then is going to be this A minor, D, G, and then A minor. This little part here is like a little solo part. You can usually tell when it's just one string on its own or one note at a time on its own. So this is going to be your A minor chord. Da, 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 D major. Da, 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 dum. Yeah, that's a wee bit. A minor, da, 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 da. That's the D major chord here. Then G major, bum, or G5 is probably a better way to think of that. Actually, let's see. Yeah, G sus2 is actually better. Because you have the A at the top ringing out. Okay, so the first time around, it's the same rhythm for each of these bars, same chords for each of these bars. So exactly the same up and downs, same rhythm, and exactly the same chords. No difference at all. It's only the ending of this 4-bar phrase here and the ending here, which is different. Okay, so once you've learned these bars, you've already learned these bars as well. So this is the second part of the tune. Yeah, is that just crotchets? I think it is. I don't think there's anything else in that bar. I'm just making sure there's nothing else that I've missed. Bottom, bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Okay, so you might sometimes see in tab this little line across from one note to the other. That's just your tie. What you also could put in here is another little line like here. When you see it going from one note that's different to a note that's, or from a different note to from one note to a completely different note, that is where you would indicate your hammer-ons. So when you see it like this, that's a hammer-on from that open to the third. Bottom. Yeah, so there's no up or down strokes in between those. It's literally just da-dum, dum, 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 dum. I'm going to see if there's any others. Don't think so. I think that's the first hammer-on that we could add in there between 0 and 3. Yeah, so hammer-on followed by a tie. So when you see it going from one note to the same note, usually that's a tie. So it lasts the length of this quaver in this bar and into this quaver in the next bar. So it's a little bit longer. It's worth a crotchet, in other words. But when you see it from one note to a different note, that's a hammer-on. So you're not actually striking the chord with your right hand, you're doing it with your left. So again, if I just go back to the Bouzouki tab. The second part is into the last part. Dun, 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 dun. So this is the third and final part of the tune. As you can see, there's a lot of open strings here, so you're only using the first 3 courses. You're actually probably should have put an X or something down here to say, nope, you're not doing anything at all for this 4th course. So it's a little bit different from the other parts to the tune. Okay, so it's very precise what we're doing and where we're doing it. So it's open. Done. That's bum 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 ba da da dum da 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 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 bum bum da 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 dum dum da da da. That's the rhythm that we have here in that bar. If I just go back to the desktop to show you. So da 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 dum ba da da da. So that's 3rd stroke, up, down, up, and that is the 1st, 2nd, 1st. Then the next bar is quite a few little hammer-ons here. So you have da-dum, again doing that. So that's bum da da bum ba bum, and that's why you hear this part of the tune. So dum dum. Lots of open strings, as you can see, lots of zeros, which is always a good sign that you're in the right path. Yeah, okay, there's a couple of ways we could do that, but we'll stick to what's written. Okay, that was that entire line. I'm going to slow it down just so you can see exactly and hear exactly what we're doing. Okay, so that's all A minor for that first part of the tune. So that's actually, last night when I was doing this, I said the third part is the hardest part, but actually the first half of the third part is actually quite easy because it's just all open strings. It's really when you get down here that you have quite a bit of a mishmash of stuff to do for those last 2 bars. So again, you'll notice, if you're good at noticing patterns, that this bar is the same as this bar. So once you've learned that bar, and then also this bar is the same as this bar. So you're just swapping those 2 bars around, and then you have your kind of your unique part to this tune, this little riff at the end, which is, you know, I never really used it outside of this tune, to be honest, but it's a lovely wee riff. So we'll just do bar 21 here and 22, and then 23 afterwards. So. Ba ba bum. That's 3 2 0, and then 3 2 0 again. but ending on the 5, and then 2 0 5 2. Yeah. So you can, as you can see, guys, it's quite a tricky. Well, I think anyway, it's quite a tricky technique, you know, to learn Bouzouki tab. But take your time with it if you really want to get into it, and you know, you prefer more sort of analytical and scientific way of, you know, knowing where every single up and down beat and every single motif and every single note in your accompaniment where it's going to be. Then yeah, it's good for discipline, you know, for your practicing, you know, to be that disciplined. But just bear in mind that in an assessed environment, especially when you have a few drinks, and you're not going to really, you know, care that much, to be honest. It should be a bit freer than that. It shouldn't be so strict that you're basing your performance completely off of written notation every time. I'm only doing this just to help students learn it and learn the notation, but you can, you know, get by just by learning purely by ear. And in fact, that's going to sound so much better if you do that. I think it's a better way of learning. Anyway. Okay, so I shall leave this up on my website as well. Let's let me undo all the strokes, because I want my students to be able to figure that out for themselves, you know, to look at that and figure, okay, where's the downstroke, where's the upstroke. The more effort that you put into learning it, you know, thinking what makes more logical sense to you, that you want to begin, you know, each first beat of each bar with a downstroke, that makes much more sense than beginning with an up one. So the A one that we looked at. So there's like 3 different ways of playing. There's the completely homophonic, you know, chordal way of strumming, all rhythmical. This is a wee bit more a combination of the two of them, you know, part homophonic, part, you know, motif. And then the final one is mostly just drones, open strings, and then that little riff at the end. So there's quite a few different styles there performing, which combines a couple of wee things together. It's quite nice. Okay. So that is the Maids of Mount Cisco. And if there's any questions on that, guys, when you're going through it, do let me know. If there's anything you're not too sure about, that will be up on the website. Now, wait till I show you where this is going. This is going to be fun. Whether or not my website can cope with any more on this one page will be interesting. So if I go over to the website, let me see what you guys see when you go in. Okay, this is me, my website. So if you go here, all my courses and classes and stuff are in there, and support. If you need to, well, people usually just email me, but you can go to support. There's some FAQs, and you can even fill out a form if you don't want to give, you know, you don't want to do it through your own email. That's fine. Most of it is, you know, FAQs though. The blog. If you click on that, you will hopefully see. Hopefully, there we go. All the stuff that I've done in the past. So all of the, you know, the community Q&As, they ask me anythings, just like tonight, and most, if not all, of the practice with me sessions go up onto this website. You know, they go up here as a blog. So this was the one here, how to sound authentic. So using the Maids of Mount Cisco as an example. If you click on this, it should tell you what it's about, you know, give you a little rundown in the title. And there is the actual live embedded as well. So you can go to my YouTube channel and watch it there, or you can watch it straight off of the website if you prefer. It's no difference. Like if I click on this, it'll just start up. You'll also notice that my web page or my YouTube videos are I'm trying to put in chapters as well. So keep a wee eye out for that in the description. If there's specific things you want to go to, there's lots of parts to it. So if I just say 0 in here, yeah, identifying the mode and just use notes actually. But Yeah, there we go. Critical for giving the flavor to the piece. You know, the Dorian mode. Okay, so that's the whole video is embedded in there, but the summary of everything I was talking about is the actual blog. So everything that you see here, this is the plain sheet music, and then me explaining it, you know, written out, I suppose, using better English, better grammar than me just waffling away on the YouTube video. So this is all a wee bit more formal, the way the language is written, and it's a wee bit more straightforward, I think. So yeah, that's the entire blog, just going through different parts. And then there is the ornamented version of the tune, with all the ornaments put in, all color coded, because I'm a complete nerd for these things. I love making everything grouped together. So all the full rolls are in blue, all the half rolls are in red, the cuts are in orange, and the triplets are in green. So it should be easy enough to see where everything goes. Then what I've done is there is a version of that you can listen to with just the tin whistle. And I've embedded also a version of the tin whistle in the bodhrán. And so on. If you click here, download the Irish Bouzouki tab, it should actually, yeah, I was going to say it shouldn't open like that, but it's only opening because there's something to download. There it is. So I thought it was going to take you to another page. Thankfully it didn't. I would know what it would be doing if it was doing that. So there it is, the download. You can just drag that out onto the desktop and click on that, and hopefully that will be the tab. Yeah, that's what we were looking at tonight. There's the tab, and there's the notation and the chord charts as well. So you get the tab, the notation, the chord charts all in one document like that. And as I say, that should be up there right now live, that you can just go ahead and download the Irish Bouzouki tab just by clicking on that. So you get the audio to hear the tune as well if you want to listen to it, but also that's the handout. You can of course just, you know, drag this out, and that's just the notation, nothing else. So if I click on that, there it is. It's just a, you know, it's just the picture, that's all. So yeah, you can do that as well if you don't need the tab and you just want the actual tune with all the ornaments in there. Okay, so hopefully that's cleared up all the rubbish from last week, that, you know, and everything just broke down. Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And last week it was about 3 or 4 things that were working against me. I was tuning again, just like tonight, where it was getting looser because the machine head, that thing, I need a screwdriver to tighten it up a wee bit, and it was just pulling the string, or the string was pulling back. The tension was sort of, you know, it wasn't connecting properly with the machine head. Hopefully that's fixed now. And also my audio was out of sync. I really hope that. I never checked. I really hope my audio is in sync. So let me just double check to be sure. The notation and the chord charts as well. Yay, it is. Okay. Happy days. Well, it is live. Maybe it isn't when it's all done. I'm hoping it'll be okay. If there is any issue, I'll just edit everything and just shift everything over a couple of milliseconds. Okay, so the remainder of the class then, I don't see any questions in chat. I'll better have a wee look, see to see if there's any in the community while I'm here. And I think I need to post to the community. There's a couple of wee things that haven't gone to the community, I think. Yeah, there's the... Yeah, that's the blog post. I haven't put the Maids of Mount Cisco up there, so I'll do that. Let me go before I forget, so you guys can see what I have to do. I have to remember to do every week. Thing that I forgot to do for the last couple of community Q&As is I forgot to put in the chapters. So hopefully now when you click on these... Oh dear. Oh good. Thinking you're in the key. Yeah, there should be... There should be chapters now for every video. Yeah, some of them are a bit longer than others, but if you need to sort of figure out where to go, you just click on this bit underneath the description, and all of the topics that I talk about should be time stamped, and you can just click on those to go straight to that part of the video. 417 for demixolydian. There we go. So yeah, that's a wee bit better. That should be updated. Okay, so the other thing then is to add the Maids of Mount Cisco to the community, because I didn't do that. Let me just go to my shorts. Yeah, here. Wow, it's loud. Share, copy that, and just post that in here. Oh, I need to log in. Yep. Here we go. Let me in. Okay, there we go. Maids of Mount Cisco. Hi everyone. Check out the latest, what do you call it? Short. Check out the latest short for the real Maids. Is it the Maids? I'm just going to put in the Maids of Mount Cisco. Makes grammatically it's more sense anyway. The Maids of Mount Cisco. I've sometimes seen that Kisco. I thought it was Cisco, but you know, I've seen it spelled with a K, but whatever. Hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, just reach out and let me know. Smiley face. Okay, so that should be it. And all I need to do now is copy the link. Usually it'll produce a wee thumbnail for everybody, but sometimes on the Zender platform it can be a bit fuzzy with the YouTube stuff. So I'll see if I post that. What does it look like? Oh, it's working it out maybe. Doesn't like that. I'll just refresh the page to see if that does anything. Yeah, maybe it wants me to actually embed it. So I'll put it in here, embed. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it's a wee bit fuzzy. Hopefully when you click on it though, if you ever see that in my feeds, you know that there's a, you know, like a video or something that's a wee bit fuzzy. Yeah, like this one's a wee bit fuzzy. Let's click on it anyway, just to see. It should come up okay. Yeah, okay, I think it's trying to save space by just playing it at a lower quality. Okay, so yeah, don't be put off by the fuzzy. If it comes up fuzzy. Okay, so the chord video. So let's come out of this. So tonight then, to finish off, what I want to do is record me playing the what do you call it, the Farewell to Whalley range. So that's going to be the tune that I'll make a little what do you call it, short from. So let's get rid of all this, get rid of that, and actually don't need any of this open, I don't think. No. Okay, if I just go to here for tin whistle. Let me see, whistle. Yeah. What would be a good speed to do this at, I wonder? Let me just see, what's the recording that I have for this? I'm going to see what the speed version should be. Let's see. You guys won't be able to hear this just for a second, just while I mute you. I'm just going to mute the computer audio. I don't want you to be able to hear this. Just for copyright reasons. Okay, let's see. A bit too fast. Okay, so that's going to be the speed. So probably around about 110, nice and steady, just, you know, for practice purposes. Go back to the start. Testing 1, 2. let me go back to normal audio. Okie doke. So what I was doing there is I was making this recording. Now I probably won't be able to hear it because it's like 4 or 5 layers. Yeah. So I never really, that's why I recorded about 20 times, because I never know what's going to be the best take, being able to play that. When I put that into Logic Pro, or Final Cut Pro, I should say, it'll have like loads of different channels for each audio, you know, one for the computer, one for the bouzouki, one for the tin whistle, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I've got to be able to sort of pick out the right one and, you know, hear it. Unfortunately, I don't know why this is the case, but Mac computers don't allow you to, when you click on an MP4 file, they don't play all of it at the same time. QuickTime Player does not do that, which is a bit annoying, to say the least. But hopefully it will work out fine. Now the next thing I need to do is now record the bouzouki over the top of it. So that'll be the second thing, and then I combine the two of those things and make that into a little short for everybody. It wasn't connecting. Oh, sorry, that's a wee audio thing that came back. Okay, let's do that then. Let's make our audio for the bouzouki. Now if I just check out which ones, the bouzouki one is still activated. Yeah, good. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to chin this guy up again. Down, actually, it's getting warm. Just to show you how out of tune this is going to be. This is almost a quarter of a tone out. So again, this is a good little exercise in the Bouzouki tab. This is a slip jig, so this is 9/8 time. It's slightly different, very different to what we were looking at before. So this time it's all individual counterpoint. So that should be. first bar. Bum. Dum bum 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 bum. And then the second bar will be. Yeah. Okay, so I just go through it nice and slow. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay. He just desperate for this. Okay, so this is what I'm doing with this. If I can just get this back to ordinary. Let me see. Yeah. So what I'm using for this is capo on 4. So remember, that's where we are for this. It's a little bit different than most of the tunes that we've done, which are all, you know, capo 2, capo 5, capo 7. So this is not the same. It's more like a pentatonic, uses 5 notes scale in the scale of F sharp minor. So we don't have any Ds to deal with, which is a bit unusual, and we don't have any Gs to deal with, which is a bit unusual. There's only 5 notes, but you can play that quite easily on the tin whistle in D, even though you're not playing any Ds at all. It's actually easy enough to do. all of these little ideas, but individually it's hard to sort of connect them now. So it might take me a second or two, yeah, to come up with these properly. So let me just see. I just go back to normal, and also don't really need that anymore. Yeah, we'll just go back to normal desktop view, or just full version of me. If I do, let me see, vision, would you guys be able to see that? No. Okay, let me see if I do that and then that. Is that better? I'm just testing out different camera angles to see what would be the best one. I think just keeping it in main, actually. Yeah. Let's move the camera down. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a lot of things going on, and OBS saying no, doesn't like that. Because the camera is sort of focused on my head for some reason. So when I cut my head from here upwards, the wee red things go off. So we'll just have to leave it like that, and I'll just focus in on this as you know, the demonstration will focus in on the tutorial will focus in on the second half for what we're doing here on the left hand. Okay, so I'll play through it a couple of times, see how we get on. Okay, hopefully we've got one of those. It's got it bound to be correct because I was doing that for a good, what, 20 minutes or something. So yeah, it's just to make sure. I always repeat because just to make sure that one of the takes actually sounds halfway decent, we can use it. So yeah, you can see behind how the sausage is made, and it isn't pretty. It takes a lot of repetition, a lot of doing the same thing over and over again. It can be quite monotonous. There are times when it's almost feeling like you're almost like going into a Zen state, you know, that you've repeated over and over. It's almost like it becomes, you know, like a chant after a while. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully that is actually recorded as well. Radio. So Farewell to Whalley range there, guys, that is also going to be available. Again, that'll be up on the website once that's all done and dusted. And if we're combined the whistle and the bouzouki together and make sure they're in tune as well. But as you can see, guys, this is going to be slightly different than the other one because this is just accompaniment only. There's no tune in this, and it's mostly about 90% of it is mostly counter melody. Obviously, there's a couple of wee more things I need to add in there, like the actual chord. This is just I'm just showing you guys what the melody is here. Okay, so yeah, just to sum up, when you're learning tab, bear in mind for Bouzouki tab a couple of things. First of all, it's quite limited. The tuning that you're using, GDAD, it's not going to be applicable, definitely not applicable to guitar. Guitar has 6 strings, so obviously there's 2 things that are going to be not correct. There's 2 strings that are not going to be present. And also the tuning is GDAD, you know, so it's not nowhere near what a standard guitar tuning is. Similar to DADGAD, but as I say, DADGAD will have 6 strings, not 4. So if you're going to learn Bouzouki tab, you're going to be learning it literally just for the bouzouki, the Irish bouzouki, and the Irish tuning, the GDAD tuning. So bear that in mind. You're going to make the decision yourselves. Is it worth putting in the time and effort to do that? If it was me and you have a choice between learning standard notation or learning Bouzouki tab, standard notation all the way. I know it may feel you know, that you're missing out on something, that you're not able to read tab, or you know that you can't figure out the rhythms, the chords. Trust me, you'll thank yourself in the long run if you learn standard notation, because you are going to be, you can pick up tab, you can teach yourself tab actually, you know, quite easily just by looking at the numbers and figuring out where they are in the frets. But it's a slow, laborious process, guys, and learning to read the notes, the pitches, and figuring out where you're going to put your chords, that's part of creating your own musicianship and getting better at, you know, just training your ear to figure out which chords go where, what sounds better here, what sounds better there. That's all part of it. There's no shortcut to that. I know students are saying, can you not just show us, you know, how you do it? It says, yeah, I can show you how I do it. And then they say, well, how did you know that chord goes there? Because, well, I know that it sounds well with these notes. Well, how do you know what those notes are? Well, because I'm able to read them off the page. I said, well, how do you able to do that? Through years of, you know, training through music theory and, you know, going to classes and learning off different teachers and everything. There's no shortcut. So it's not like, I know there's a tendency to think that music is one of these things, like, you know, just you can get an AI to create, you know, a really good sounding trad tune or country tune or rock and roll tune, you know, and you see that all the time now on Instagram and TikTok and things, of all these bands and people playing in the style of something else, and, you know, it's completely AI. Yeah, that's great, but that doesn't teach you how to do it. And there's no shortcut to it. And it's part of the enjoyment is the accomplishment of you learning how to do it yourself and how to find your own style, you know, rather than getting a bot to do it. And I can show you the theory of how to come up, read the tab and come up with your own sort of counter melodies and little patterns and things, but you still have to put in the work and actually practice it and slow it down, find the best little patterns that work for you. And the most important thing, I think, when it comes to practicing any of this reading tab is keep like a practice journal of where you go wrong, and figure out the why. Most students give up, I think, music because they make a lot of mistakes, and then they keep making the mistakes and making the mistakes and making the mistakes, and they feel like they're not getting anywhere. The reason why they keep making those mistakes is because they're not asking themselves the why. Why do I keep stopping at this bar? What is preventing me from going on? Is there a better way of approaching this or learning this? Is there a technique that I'm lacking, missing? Is there somewhere I can improve that technique? And having the patience, giving yourself a break and realizing, it's not going to be something you can learn overnight. It takes time. As you guys saw, like I had to play through that piece, 20, 30 times maybe, before I was happy enough thinking, I think I've played it correct perfectly once or twice the whole way through. Because there's always some little thing, and it's like, I can't, even if I make like the slightest mistake in a session, who cares? If you're playing it in front of people, who cares? It's a mistake and hardly anyone's going to notice. But if you're teaching it to students, they will notice because they may slow it down. So I have to go through it again and again and again and again to slow it down and, play through it and make sure that I've got every part, every little idea and every little riff correct. But there's a lot of mistakes I made in there, and that's not going to put me off. It's not going to stop me from learning. I'm still learning. As every week, this is another tune that I'm learning, and you never stop. So don't view practice or learning music as you're at the bottom of a mountain. I know there's a lot of people who use the analogy, like, you're trying to climb Everest and base camps and, stopping and pausing all the way, and you only ever see the summit. There is no summit. There is no end. Okay. So any concert pianist, any professional musician, any classical musician who's been playing since they were 4 and, as a fantastic musician will tell you, they still need to practice 6-7 hours a day, to maintain that level. If they stop for a week, they notice it. Definitely. If they stop for a month, it's like they've lost a year. And if they stop for a year, they've lost a decade. They have to bring it all back up again. So you've got to keep at it. Keep practicing, and you never stop. So don't view learning tab or learning notation or learning the bouzouki or learning anything musical as, I'll get there. This one day I will know how to play the bouzouki perfect. No, nobody does. Okay, there's nobody who doesn't make mistakes. There's nobody who hasn't finished learning. There's no accomplished player, no matter who they are, Andy Irvine, Dario Farrell, any of these guys who are the world's best bouzouki players, they are still learning, okay? They're still learning new tunes, they're still learning new techniques, and it gets to the stage, and you'll see this with people like Andy Irvine, where they end up exploring other cultures, to find other influences and other techniques, and they look to Eastern Europe and, American trad music as well, so they incorporate loads of other styles and learn other styles, but they're always learning. So give yourself a break with the tab. If it takes time, just accept that it's going to take time. If you don't have the time and you're thinking, I don't want to be learning this when I could be learning this, the standard notation, that is far more useful. Definitely. And I'm not the only one who says so. I know professional YouTubers who play guitar, bass guitar and lead guitar, who will tell you that there's a lot of restrictions to learning pure just tab and not learning how to read music properly, like standard notation. So if it was a choice, if you have to make the choice, do this. If you can learn both, do this one first. Learn how to read, quavers and crotchets, or eighth notes and quarter notes, and time signatures and sharps. And it's not that hard, guys. It really isn't, because you're not looking to read an orchestral score. You're just looking to read the treble clef, one melodic line, and basically everything from semi-quavers to like minims. And that's basically it. Or 16th notes to half notes if you're American. So you're talking maybe about a dozen to 20 different things that you need to learn. And that's not a lot. you know, for all the sheet music you'll ever need to read, and you get better at it the more you do it. Okay, it's just like learning your alphabet, and after a while you'll just be able to read the words without having to go through every individual letter of the word. It's the same in music. You'll just see the rhythms after a while. You're like bum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum da 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 dum. Okay, so it will speed up. Whereas this, as you can tell, the rhythm, hard to know where it is unless you're going to write that in, and then it gets to the stage where you've already got half of standard notation in with your tab already. You've put in the rhythm. Why not just go all the way and just learn the pitches as well? Okay, I think it's far better. If I was to turn this into standard notation, I probably could add, let's see if I can do that actually. Can I add like a little link stave? Oh, can I change that to something standard? Yeah, see this here? I'm going to highlight this in different colors. The one in red, I go the whole way through this. It's probably taken over. Oh, it's all one page. Good. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the one in red as like the main one to learn. Yeah, that'll be the first one. I may even move that up to the top. Yeah, okay, it's getting a wee bit weird looking. What happens if I move that up? Okay, hold on a wee sec. Oh, okay. That's with you. Radio. Okay, so that is with that. I'll keep it as is then, and just have the, yeah. I was wondering where the chords were linked to. The chords are linked to the first stave, or the first lines. So I'm just going to highlight all that and change the color to red. That is the way you guys, I think, should aim to learn your bouzouki accompaniment, is learn the pitches this way. That is so much more. If you're wondering why is the color changing here, it's because you're reaching the extremes of the instrument and it's just warning you. But if you went to publish and print this, watch what happens. Yeah, those disappear. Okay, the color will still stay there because I've added that in. But the thing that the MuseScore was doing there was just letting you know, yeah, you're hitting the top range of the instrument here. Okay, so learn the red one first, you know, and then the blue one is the, I suppose, the second one, if you want to learn that, the Bouzouki tab. Don't get me wrong, it's useful to see where, but that's all that it does, guys. You see, the main advantage to the Bouzouki tab is that it shows you where, how to play the note, whereas this does not. However, this shows you what the notes are in relation to the key and what the rhythms are. There's so much more information and patterns that you can see here that it's hard to see, you know, when you're looking just at the tab, unless you start adding in the rhythm on top of this. And then what's the point then? Why are you taking more from standard notation to help an ailing system, you know, the tab system? If it can't survive on its own, then why do you need to keep adding more and more stuff to it? You know, why not just learn how to read the music in the first place? So aim, I'd say, to learn this first. Aim for this second if you have the time. And this is the actual tune that I'm going to put down here in green. So this isn't the Bouzouki or anything. This is just, you know, the actual tune, Farewell to Whalley range tune, if you want to learn that as well. Somebody asked me, do you learn the tunes when you're learning the accompaniment? Not really. But you can see that if I was just to look at that and compare that to my accompaniment. It's very close. Where you can't see that when you're doing it like this. You know, just 0, 0, 0, 0, and lots of zeros everywhere. Yeah, it's okay. It's letting you know what strings you're playing, but again, this is capo on 4 as well, so you need to know what your standard tuning is, and then adding the capo. You're already doing a lot more theory this way, you know, having to move everything up 4 semitones, know what a semitone is, and know what the accidentals and notes you're creating as you move it up every single capo, every single fret. So, yeah, easier, I think, to do it this way. Compare the two of them this like that, and instantly you can see a relationship. Okay, I'm playing the same as the pitch, da da, that rising fifth, ba ba, which you don't really get when you're looking at this. So this is harmonizing 5th, 6th, 5th, 3rd, and that's a wee bit of a dissonance there. If I said to play that over. So that's a heck of a drop, you know, dropping down an octave. Da, dum. Whereas this is just going up. Leading note going up. Yeah, so there it is, guys, if you're interested in having both. And I shall put that up on the website. Okay, we shall leave it there. And I shall see you guys again either next Tuesday for another practice with me, or next week for Ask Me Anything. Do feel free in the chat to put down anything, or send me an email in advance if you prefer that. It's info@topscoremusicacademy.com. All my contact details are in the chat there, or in the chat with all the, you know, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and my email, my website. It's all there if you need to contact me. And I'll see you again next time. All the best, guys.